Hello, and thank you for joining us in this podcast. Can you explain to us what is the capacity building program?
Thank you very much for inviting. My name is Zafar Saidalif. I'm representing a nonprofit called Culture Goes Europe. We are part of Horizon project called Bolster. We're taking the lead as part of Work Package 3 to support with the capacity building program that contains training course, a study visit, and reactivate campaign. It's basically to engage and support local communities with learning process, support them with growing process, to develop ideas, to pilot them and test, and to get some feedback from them whether they're able to implement local actions and grow on their own to be able to go through the transition process. First of all, we developed a training program which we held in Weimar, Germany, in a European Youth Education Center, where we hosted representatives from 7 regions and also partner organizations, and created this kind of a tailor-made training program that included different activities on facilitation, non-formal learning, design thinking. So it's basically gaining different skills and competences that would help them back home to work with their communities. So we created this kind of a study visit program that went through 7 days in different cities, including Erfurt, Weimar, Halle, and Berlin. And the idea was that we brought the groups physically to local spots, community spaces where people were organizing community activities, local empowerment activities, local projects like community gardens or open spaces to utilize, let's say, local actors. The study visit was also quite intense. We visited, I think, at least 15 different cases in different cities. From early mornings till evenings, we were visiting and meeting the people there specifically on certain topics that were more familiar to them, and then being able to ask questions and feel the space, so to speak, to be able to touch. These two activities combining with the plans for Reactivate campaign, where they were able to plan their local pilots with local communities with a small amount of budget to see if they can come up with an idea and implement it on the spot. This part was a parallel process that helped support different work packages to be able to have this kind of a more in-depth understanding of what local engagement means. Not just to come to a local community and say, tell us what you think, and then go back.
What is the methodology of the training course, and how was it structured?
Initially, we were asking our partners and people who they were supposed to select to understand, okay, what's their needs? Are we planning to do in the project that could help? So we invited different experts from local communities and organizations that are involved in this community engagement process. There was an expert, for example, on participatory planning. She was working with local communities in Weimar, for example, how to gather local neighborhoods and develop certain community spaces. It takes a lot of planning and processing, but basically the idea was for her to show what kind of participation process happens. The other example is another partner from Platform, an NGO that also is involved in local communities and engaging community spaces in different regions in Thuringia. Stefan Prega, he presented certain cases from the previous experiences that they had, how they were engaging. So basically we built a structure piece by piece as a workshop, so to speak, and then we had spaces for different other methodologies like photo voice and design thinking. So they were trying to also see other examples from different actors and different experts, and also trying to come up with their vision of what kind of community engagement they want to see. So it was about hands-on experience from doing themselves, learning from each other. We had a chance also to discuss different elements and a few methodologies on facilitation skills and learning with the communities. So it was a combination of many different methods and tools. Sometimes it happens that in such trainings, the whole program is quite intense and people need a bit of time to digest and reflect what happened. So when they went home, it took them a few weeks to reflect on it, but the overall impact was quite positive.
Why do you think team building activities are important?
So these activities and workshops, they go easier when you have some kind of non-formal methods to get to know each other better. They learn from their strengths and weaknesses. They can collaborate and work better. These things are quite common in such trainings we organize. And I think this helped them also to get to know themselves better and be able to communicate better.
Did the training course lead to any surprising or unexpected outcomes?
It's hard to say whether there was a spin-off or specifically an impact, but a lot of people responded with the follow-ups that they had. They have learned a lot and they were quite impressed with different methodologies they could use. The only thing that we could hope for was that from these trainings, like study visits and trainings, there is a broader long-term impact, that they will organize their own activities back home, reflecting on what kind of methodologies they could use and be more flexible and adaptive. Recently, we had a transferability workshop in Bulgaria, and some partners were reflecting on what kind of activities they held back in their countries on the Reactivate campaign process. And for example, Polish partner Marcin, he was reflecting on activities that they held, and he was saying that their local communities were quite proactive, but it also required a lot of effort for bringing them together on the table and working with them. In other cases that other partners explained, it was a different impact. For example, the Spanish partners, they said they were not so quite active after the project process finished. They were mostly organizing certain activities, and this was it. So we were able to see that everybody faced different realities. When you deal with a group of different backgrounds and different needs, I think the one way is to hope to give them all the tools and possible skills, and then they will be flexible enough to adapt to it.
What is the capacity building manual?
The capacity building manual, like Bolster in Action, this was a collection of all the tools and methods we put together from trainings, study visits. The manual is more like a ready-to-go handbook for practitioners who would like to do something local themselves. It contains some basics on the idea of what community engagement is about, what transition is about, what the project is about, but also what kind of combinations they could do from trainings and study visits, what kind of local pilots they could organize. And we had some information about methodologies, the training programs. It has also links for materials that people can use. It's all open source. The plan is to have this manual spread among local communities, people who could probably make use of it to make their community engagement more efficient. It doesn't have all the answers for people. People will face their challenges with local communities as usual. I guess that's a quite normal process. But our hope is that with this manual, they can probably make their life a bit more easier to have more engaging, more interesting activities. It has some context also from tools and resources that they can utilize and download. I think this was quite an interesting small outcome from this work package that we organized, and we hope that this manual will be utilized longer with other projects as well.
Which of the experiences was the most rewarding for you?
To be honest, for me, study visits are the best parts. This is where you can actually go to a place and meet people and see spaces that you wouldn't visit usually, which makes those cities more closer to me personally. So for me, this was my favorite part. People experience different things, of course. Every time I visit a few cases that I visited before, I learn something new about their backgrounds, about their plans, the challenges they face, which is also quite interesting. When you visit different cases and the spaces and you talk to people, a lot of challenges they face are quite similar to each other. Financial challenges or engagement challenges when people lose interest, or vice versa. They have more interest and then there is a big demands that they need to cope with. I'd love to do more study visits in future projects.
What are your final thoughts about this journey?
I'd like to say thank you for the whole consortium and the coordinating organization, Tilburg University, for inviting us to this project to be part of this amazing crew, amazing consortium. All the partners, we had recently a final conference, although the project will run still until August, where we are wrapping up activities and finishing up, let's say, polishing deliverables. I'd love to see this process going. We have learned a lot, obviously, in this project, and we would like to share more from things that we learned, possible new activities that we could implement. This was a great journey, which is not over yet, so we would love to continue this journey together with the partners.